Hello. Hello and good morning. Welcome to our live session, Career in Tourism and Hospitality Management Post-COVID-19 in Singapore. I'm Safina, your career expert and educationalist from Sanz International. So we have with us this morning Mr. Isaac from Singapore and Mr. Mohammed from Singapore, MDIS. And so today's speaker, I'm very happy to announce that we have Mr. Isaac, our speaker who is expertise. He is a recognized industry trainer, specialist, and adult educator by IAL and SUSS. He is also a member of Food and Beverage Managers Association, and he is a Restaurant Association of the Singapore Association as well. And also, during his first year, he led the School of MDIS, their first ever 2019 National Cocktail Competition Singapore. First and second clinched all 4 gold medals. And today we are very happy to have Isaac on our platform, who is going to talk about the career in tourism and hospitality industry post-COVID during this situation. So we are all excited to see you. So over to you, Mr. Isaac.
Hi, good morning, everyone from Singapore. Glad that all of you could have joined us. So today I'm going to present a little bit about Singapore's tourism. I'm going to talk about MDIS. So before I do that, allow me to share my screen with you. Okay, just a moment. All right, so I think we're up. So yes, good morning to everyone in India again. Thank you once again for joining us. It is my pleasure to be here today and to share with you more about how we can continue our learning journey in the tourism industry with MDIS in Singapore. All right. So before I begin, I'll just seek your cooperation to mute your microphones, but at any time during this presentation to just type in your questions in the chat box. So my chat box is visible here. At any point of time, if I can answer them, I would answer them. If not, I would answer them towards the end of the presentation. All right, so let's move on. For today's preview, I've been given the opportunity to start off with the introduction, and then I will talk about the preview of the tourism and hospitality industry globally and in Singapore. And of course, I'll also talk about the future. And I think this is the big question, the future of tourism and hospitality industry, considering the current climate. And we will talk about the different programs and products that we offer in MDIS and how do we actually offer these programs in MDIS? What are the active learning approaches? What do we put in place for our students' learning journey? And for some of our programs, we also have something called internship, and that is something we are very strong on in Singapore and overseas, globally. And of course, for many of our students, we also help them with the employment aspect since our links with the industry associations are also quite strong. All right, and we'll have a Q&A towards the end, of course. So yes, just moving on ahead. Right, so very quickly, we will talk about what is tourism, just to get the definition right. And in school and to our students, in brief, what we try to share with everyone, the definition of tourism is the activities of people traveling to and staying in places outside their usual environment. So we have international tourism where, from your country, you move to another country, or from your location, you move to another state within India, right? So that would be domestic tourism. Now, according to the latest data by the WTTC, the tourism industry accounts for 10.4% of the world's GDP. It's a big thing in Singapore. It's a big thing in India for tourism. And around the world, I think you're reading of a lot of news of how tourism has been affected in so many countries. And countries are trying very hard to open up the borders to bring in the tourists. Why? Because it supports so many different countries' economy very much. Now, this is to give you an idea of the different types of tourists that we actually have there. We have starting from the top, incentive tourists, where companies send their staff overseas, as an incentive trip. We have eco-tourists and all the way religious, and I think religious tourists or religious tourism is a big thing in India. And we have sports, backpacking, and so on, business, education in Singapore. In fact, in MDIS in Singapore, we receive a lot of educational tourists. That means we have a lot of different schools around the world that send their students to MDIS to experience, workshops for a couple of days or couple of weeks. And that's a big thing for us also. Now, in terms of the travel and tourism industry, right? It's quite big, as you can see, right? The breadth actually ranges from travel planning. So from the time that the tourist decides to leave the country and go to another country or go to another state or destination, then we start with travel planning. Then of course it includes transportation, how to get there, where to stay, what to see, what to eat, and all the other things that are all encompassing around tourism. Now, just to share with you, internationally, the tourism arrivals has hit 1.5 billion in 2019. Now, if you look carefully at this screen in front of you, you would see that Asia and the Pacific has the second biggest share after Europe. Now, this is really good news for us in Asia. Why? Because there's just so much potential. And, before the COVID actually came in, there's so much of potential in terms of the neighboring countries, Indonesia, Philippines, Myanmar, Vietnam. All these countries are still developing. And, there's just so much potential to build so much more. And we're also seeing a lot of hotels coming in and a lot of different service providers for the tourists coming in and, building their base within Asia. Why? Because the prediction is that the number of visitors to tourists is just going to increase, not only for tourists, but for businesses and also for MICE, meeting, incentive travel, conventions, and exhibition. There's so much potential here. Yes, so as mentioned, it's 1.5 billion last year. Now the prediction is by 2030, it should go up to 1.8 billion. In fact, our prediction is that it should be more once things are better. Now in Singapore, just to share with you, last year was a record year for us. We hit 19.1 million. We have never hit this number before. The year before, it was about 18.5 or 18.7. And every year it's been increasing. And the Singapore government is just putting in a lot of effort to ensure tourists come in and enjoy their experience in Singapore. And just to share with you, I'm not sure if you know this, the top market for Singapore is China, but the third biggest market for tourist arrival in Singapore is India, right? So thank you very much. Now, what about tourism in India? We talk so much about the world, about Asia Pacific, about Singapore. Now, moving into India, I also see a lot of potential. In fact, there's just so much of room for development, and a lot of this development would need manpower and resources to support this industry. Now, for last year, the data that I gathered was that your tourism arrivals also hit a record above 10 million. And in fact, the WTTC says that tourism generates a huge amount or contributes a huge amount to India's GDP and in terms of jobs. You are ranked 34 out of 140 countries for travel and tourism competitiveness. And the news that I get is your India's Minister of Tourism intends to double the tourist arrivals over the next 5 years. So if this is 10 million, we're looking at about 20 million in the coming years. And I think this is great news for India and also for us as we support one another. Now, in terms of the recovery, I think this is the big question now. When is it going to return, tourism? How is it looking like? So I just want to share with you a little bit about the plans in Singapore in terms of tourism recovery. Recently, we have opened up Changi Airport for transit travelers, and the Singapore government is in talks with several countries. Today's news, they are intending to open up business trips and essential trips with selected countries, and one of them is China. Singapore is also considering green lanes here and travel bubbles with several other countries to ensure the movement, the free movement of people between these two countries in a safe manner. Now, what is the current situation of COVID in Singapore? So as of yesterday, the community infection is at a very, very minimum. In fact, the news is we have less than 10 Singaporeans among a population of more than 6 million who are affected. So that's a very, very small percentage. So where are the majority of the cases that you're reading in the news, right? So let me make it clear. The majority of the cases involves migrant workers. Now, in Singapore, we depend on a couple of 100,000 migrant workers to help build Singapore. So a lot of these migrant workers are actually accommodated in various dormitories. So as of now, these dormitories are all sealed and closely and strongly protected by the government to ensure, number one, that the migrant workers are taken care of in the dormitories. And the government is giving all kinds of support for these people, right? 3 meals a day, they're giving them free SIM cards, ensuring that they exercise in the dormitory and so on. So this is good news. The second thing is they're ensuring that there is very little contact with the general public, us. And so, yeah, and that's great. So as I look out of my window right now, we can see people cycling, people jogging, and so on, right? So that makes it very clear. And I hope to you that things in Singapore are in fact getting very much better. In fact, in June 2nd, the economy is resuming. A big part of the economy is resuming. Schools are resuming. And by the middle of June, the government is saying that things should be much, much better than today. And so we can open up a wider aspect of the economy. So that's referring to things like cinemas, F&B outlets where you can eat, but it's limited, right? They're going to limit you to maximum 5 person when you're out in cinemas or eateries. And, you know, we talk about gyms and pools, and all these are going to open soon. So rest assured, the government has put in place strict measures to ensure the safety of the Singaporeans and our students and visitors here. Now, this is a little bit about the airport. So around the world, and this is where, you know, it gives you a very positive sign of what people or governments around the world are doing to, you know, ensure a safe exchange of travelers with one another, right? So from pre-flight all the way to, you know, arrival, border and customs, they're going to have a lot of safety measures to ensure that you're well, and then you can travel. And then when you arrive at that destination, we will check you for your health again, and then you can enter the country. So we are hoping that this kicks off very soon with many more countries, and that would see more travelers traveling. So of course, in terms of assurance, we would see a gradual number starting to travel soon. And, you know, soon when this is forgotten, maybe in 6 months or a year, we would see more numbers of travelers between many other countries. So for now, yes, it looks bleak, but in the near future, and it's not really that far, things should get much better very soon. In fact, I think in Singapore, a lot of people have been staying home most of the time. So they've also saved a lot of money and waiting for the next travel opportunity. So when things get much better, I think you will see an explosion because of the hunger which has been kept inside each one of them. Now, back to the tourism and hospitality industry. In MDIS, we prepare students for different career paths in the tourism and hospitality industry, right? We cover areas like travel and tourism management. We cover accommodation. We have the theory and practical. We talk about entertainment and recreation, F&B, events management, and others. Now, in terms of jobs, this is how we support our students' learning journey, right? We have a lot of students. If you look at the slide below, we have a lot of students all around, right? We have students in airlines, cruises. In fact, we have a lot of students in travel agencies in Singapore. If you look at number 2, this is another big area where a lot of our students consider as their career development, hotel and resorts. Some want to work in hotel and resorts. Some want to go back to their country and start, a similar business. But of course, our advice to them is, why not work first to understand before you actually get into the business 100%. We also have a lot of students who consider theme parks and other attractions, right? Like spas, wellness as a career pathway. We also have students here, restaurants and pubs, and these are areas where we have won local and international recognition recently. MICE is also a big part where we support students, and the back of the house. Now, the front of the house, which you saw, is also supported by the back of the house, which is the human resource, the sales and marketing, training and consulting. So we also have some of our degree and master students in this area. So as you can see, the breadth of the tourism and hospitality industry is really wide. You have the front and then you have the back. And don't forget, you also have the suppliers who support this industry. So for beverage, for example, we work very closely with the beverage suppliers. And these people actually support us by showcasing the latest drinks or the latest alcohol trend in Singapore, right? So, and we also have students who are working, as part of the food supply chain, part of the beverage supply chain. So it's really, really huge, right? And don't forget, another big thing for tourism and hospitality is also called IT. We see a lot of robotics and automation in Singapore. So this is a huge and exciting career and one of the largest industry in the world for your consideration. Now, moving on. So, who is MDIS? Well, we've been around since 1956. In fact, we are the oldest private education industry in Singapore. We've got a couple of campuses all around. We have one in Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Tashkent. We have one in Malaysia, in Singapore. We work with many schools. We're affiliated with many schools around the world, from Russia to China and so on. And this is where we get a lot of exchange students. In fact, we'll be opening up, once things are much better, we'll be opening up another campus in Central Asia. We work with various university partners. University of Sunderland is just one, which is with our school. So when you come to MDIS, besides the School of Tourism, you have other schools in the campus. Example, School of Fashion, School of Business, School of IT. So you can see how diverse and vibrant the environment in MDIS campus is. Now, I think one of the biggest things that students appreciate is the diversity in the classroom, right? So when you walk into class, you will easily see 10 to 15 other nationalities over there. And this is really great, especially for the tourism industry, where, in school, you start to work with and understand different nationalities and cultures from around the world, right? And of course, it's not easy, right? We put you in groups in the beginning. Yes, we expect you to fight, to quarrel, but towards the end, when things get much better, this is the learning experience we expect to see you go through. All right. Moving on, let's look at the programs in School of Tourism and Hospitality. We start off with a professional diploma in tourism, hospitality operation. This is an entry-level diploma into the industry. I will talk more about this in my next slide. Now, then you proceed to your International Foundation Diploma, 7 months, then the higher diploma, 10 months plus internship. The professional diploma here has also got internship. So from here, if we move here, of course, we will exam your internship. And then we have our Bachelor of Science, right? This is a top 25 university that we work with, University of Sunderland. In fact, the actual ranking of University of Sunderland is number 9 in UK for travel, tourism, and events. And then we have the Airlines and Airport Management. This is with Teesside University. Now, if you proceed further up, you have your Master of Science specializing in tourism and hospitality. Again, this is by Sunderland. And we also have Edinburgh Napier University, right? This is also another top 25 university for events and hospitality. Now, but the only difference between this Sunderland and Edinburgh Napier is a different market segment, because this is entirely online, 100% online, right? Whereas this is in campus, right? So these are for, busy professionals, working professionals all around the world. Okay, let's go into each program now. Now, the Professional Diploma in Tourism and Hospitality Operation, as I mentioned earlier, assists for smooth entry-level transition into the industry. So for people who are currently working or who have never joined the industry, this intends to complement your understanding of the theory and the practical that's required for this industry. For example, we start off with understanding what is the actual breadth of hospitality and tourism. When people say hospitality, what does it mean? Right? So hospitality at this point of time is very easy to understand. It's accommodation and food and beverage. These two sectors are collectively known as hospitality. So, of course, in this module, you'll go in much deeper. Next, front office. What is front office? What is the structure? What is, in Singapore, MDIS campus, we use the latest software from Oracle to actually teach our students how to check in guests, how to check out the guests, and how to bill the guests. And these are very important because checking in and checking out, everyone can do, even robots can do it today. But what is the human element? What is upselling? What is suggestive selling? What is quality service? These are important to understand. So for a lot of people who haven't entered the industry or who are currently working in the industry, this would serve to boost your understanding. Next, what's housekeeping? F&B, this is very important. There are a lot of bars that I go to. When I ask the bartender, hey, can I get a vodka and tonic? Or can I get a Bloody Mary? And I ask them, how is vodka made? How is whiskey made? They cannot answer. Why? Because they have not taken or haven't received the opportunity to go through this, or they haven't done their own research. So what we intend to do is to assist our students to have the background knowledge, and then this should help you with your journey as you move on. Then we move into F&B operations. This is very much hands-on. Yeah. So in Singapore, we teach you the highest level of F&B, and that is fine dining. Though fine dining is becoming less common in Singapore, we believe that by teaching you the highest level of service, no matter where you go, you can, tailor it and alter it accordingly. So yes, we still do have a lot of flambe where we cook in front of the guests. We prepare certain food in front of the guests. And I think in other countries, fine dining might become a trend, because as more people have higher disposable income, they would not look for casual restaurants to spend the money. They would look for, acclaimed Michelin-starred restaurant, restaurant with fine service to spend the money or to wow their partners or their business clients. Next, principles of communication. This is very important today. We will focus on your writing, your presentation skills, how to prepare a CV, how to prepare a cover letter, how to communicate via email, and so on. And then we will have your internship. So this is where you decide which sector you want to go in. We will assist you with that sector. Now, let's say you don't want to do internship. You want to do an industry project. You want to do some kind of investigative work, as in, for example, finding out what's an issue with a hotel and coming up with solutions for the hotel. Yes, that can also be arranged. In fact, a lot of our students also do that. Now, in terms of assessments, the assessments has been designed to appeal to as many students' learning needs as possible. So, of course, we have a lot of class participation. Right? You get a lot of ad hoc quizzes, tests, and presentations. And then you have your group presentation where you will prepare and work within your group, submit the report and present. And then you also have your exams. So your exams are also designed in such a way to appeal to different learners. Some can write very well, some cannot write very well. So we have multiple choice, short answers, and essay questions. So what is the USP at this point of this program? Number one, our curriculum is very aligned to the industry. We have an industry advisory board, and we actually seek their advice every time we change the curriculum. So every year, we will relook at our curriculum to ensure that it's aligned to the industry. So there's a lot of experiential learning approaches. We will share, or I will share, a lot of pictures with you later. I will show you what are all the facilities that we have in MDIS. Our lecturers, this part, we are very, very strict. We expect all lecturers to have two things. Number one, they must have industry work experience at a management level, plus teaching certification, then you can come in. Now, if you only have certificates like degree and masters, but very little work experience, we will not take you in. So we assure our students that you're only learning from the best, right? We also, because of our industry connections, we also have a lot of guest speakers, from every sector, from F&B, hotels, mines, and so on. We do a lot of extra workshop for our students. Like, we do dining etiquette for our students, how to eat. A lot of students don't know how to eat. When they see all the fork and knives in front of them, they become confused. When they see 3-4 glasses in front of them, they become confused. So we teach you, because why? If only you know how to eat, then you would know how to serve or to prepare next time for VIPs, right? So we also bring you out a lot, how beer is made, how spirits are made, how food catering is done for F1, right? And a lot more of field trips. So yes, this program specifically prepares you for entry-level supervisory roles or even junior management roles, depending on the country, right? We have a lot of students from India who have gone through this pathway, and a lot of them are doing very well. In fact, when they go back to their country, some of them after a couple of years, they message me through Facebook, "Sir, I'm a manager now, sir. I'm a director now, sir." And that's good, because at the end of the day, our job is to prepare you. But as you continue your journey, do remember the next important thing is your hard work and attitude and your productivity mindset. What do I mean by productivity mindset? Never stop learning, right? In fact, in our school, we have students who are, in the age group of 60, 70 plus, they're still continuing learning. Why? Because of this productivity mindset, because of how fast the industry is changing. So never stop learning. Now, the others are the International Foundation Diploma. So once you're done with the first stage, you can move into this stage. Now, so if you do the professional diploma and you move into the foundation, there will be a lot of module exemptions, right? So I'll leave this later to our colleagues to share with you. And it's pretty much similar, right? But the subjects that we cover are much different. So now we move into things like IT. We expect you to create a website. We expect you to understand how apps are created. What is economics? What is accounting, hospitality, broader accounting, right? So things like business communication, F&B, and accommodation, you'll be exempted for this if you're coming from the latter. Then if you move on to the higher diploma, it gets a little bit more exciting, right? So this is 10 months plus 6 months internship. So again, there are diversified modules like things to focus on events, things to focus on MICE, things to focus on HR, and so on. All right, there are actually quite a lot of modules, which I did not put them here, but a lot of it is to complement what you've learned in the first year and the second year. And again, the unique selling points are the same, but this prepares you for supervisory and managerial roles. It can be junior managerial roles, or it could be a level higher than that. Again, depending on the industry and the country. Now, for the University of Sunderland, we have two programs, a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, this is ranked top 10 in the UK. is awarded silver for teaching excellence framework, and they have a 9 or 12-month curriculum. Now, the 9th month is for the Bachelor of Science, and the 12th month is for the Master of Science. So this is the Bachelor of Science, 9 months. It covers 5 different modules. And then we have your Master of Science here, which also covers 5 different modules. Now, the modules might look little to you, but I just want to share with you, this is not a coursework approach. This is a research approach, right? So what's the difference? Later on, I'll share with you what's the difference between coursework, where you prepare, you sit for the exam, and then it's over. All right? Whereas research where you have to put in so much of hours to understand, to go in deep and to find out reasons. Next is Edinburgh Napier. This is also a research-based approach, another top uni in UK. This is entirely online. And this is what I mentioned. These are for busy professionals internationally who can't be in Singapore. So they would pursue our 21 months research-based curriculum online. Now, again, Edinburgh Napier is also a recognized university, right? Scoring 5 stars in the QS Stars university rankings. Now, again, these are for people who are working. We also have people from other industries joining in who want to, explore the exciting tourism industry. Some of the people we see are people with IT background who are switching over, or people who are within this industry and need a master's to progress further in their career. So these are some of the modules which are offered by the MBA Hospitality and Tourism Management by Edinburgh Napier. And the second specialization is events management, right? So, okay, I'm not going to spend too much time here because these are information you can also see on our website. Now, so what's the difference between research and coursework, right? Now, students who undertake a research degree, right, are normally considered as high achieving. Why? Because they have the drive to progress as far as they can in the chosen field. So it starts off like this. For every module, you choose which sector you want to write on, which one interests you. And now we're going to give you the opportunity to dive in deep into that industry to find out more about that industry. In fact, personally, I have done my master's, my general MBA, and I have to agree with it. Once after the coursework, once you sit for the exam, a lot of it is forgotten. But once you embark on a research master's, which I've done for my training and development, a lot of it is so, the entire journey is so exciting. And a lot of it is retained with you. Why? Because of what you choose to focus on. So yes, the challenge and joy of independent research. In fact, research today is very important. Why? Because today we hear a lot about fake news. Even the government in Singapore is coming hard on fake news. Everyone is just, forwarding stuff without verifying anything, right? So this sets the base for research, right? Before you forward anything or before you, make something publicly known, it'll be good to do some proper research. And in our school, we teach you on how to do proper research, academic research writing. All right, so this is the other thing. Graduates from higher degree by research programs are highly employable across many areas. Yes, right, and that's very true because as you do your research, you discover new things. And this is very exciting because this is where the potential is for you to explore much more. Successful completion of a research degree indicates that you have excellent project and personal management. Yes, research is not easy, especially for those who are working, yeah? I was working when I was doing my second master's, and trust me, work, family, and research, you need superb time management skills. And that's one thing you can definitely improve on, besides critical analysis and independent thinking. Right, so yes, and many more are benefits like transferable skills, which are more valuable. All right, moving ahead, I'm going to show you visuals from this point onwards. So this is a little bit about our campus. Our campus is huge, a couple of hectares. We have just for the School of Tourism, right? Just for our school. I'm not going to talk about the other schools because the other schools like School of Media, School of Fashion, they have their own workshops, their own training facilities. But just for School of Tourism, we have a huge restaurant, training restaurant. We have a housekeeping room. We have a huge bar for you, right? So in this bar, we train you to do mocktails, cocktails, right? And we also open this to exchange students from other countries. We also open this to the public because we do a lot of beverage training. This is our kitchen area. So this is the pastry area. Over here, this is the hot cooking section. Front office, all right, where we use Opera to teach our students. We have another cafe, right? So this cafe, students will get a chance to explore what it is to work in a small little cafe, serving, simple snacks, serving coffee, serving tea, serving pizza. And of course, the customers are internally and the public as well. We have our lab, IT rooms. We have huge lecture rooms, right? Some of these lecture rooms can accommodate up to 200, 300 students, right? And of course, we got the smaller versions. Now, I just want to share with you that a lot of students also find this to their advantage because we have a hostel dormitory within the campus with 24-hour security. We have gym facilities, we have 7-Elevens, we have everything there, right? Dance room, libraries, reading rooms, and so on. Everything has been designed to suit your learning journey. So you don't even need to leave the campus, right? So right now where, classes are actually online, a lot of our students are actually within the campus, which is also fully Wi-Fi equipped, and they're just continuing studying from there, and then they go down to get something to eat from the canteen. We have a huge canteen with Asian cuisine, different Asian cuisine like Chinese, we have Indian food, we have Malay food, Korean, Japanese, and so on. So everything has been, strategically planned for your learning journey. This is one part where our students spend a lot of time, especially the guys. All right, so just a quick video, a 1-minute video for you to understand MDIS facility. So this is the entrance to MDIS. Right, that's our uniform in school. So we expect you to abide with the uniform. These are some of the workshops that we do for the public, for overseas guests. This is a beverage workshop. This is a cooking workshop for students from Korea. This is for the public. We did workshops. These are just one of the classes that we have. Students on internship, where we'll visit you regularly. We work with the top hotels in Singapore. We have a lot of networking sessions for interns to come together, industry projects. We work with a lot of leaders. We do a lot of different activities, and that's why we call it active learning. This is a tourism race. A lot of competitions where we did very well last year. Right, so just a brief glimpse of a little bit of what we have. All right, so last year was actually a good year for us. If you notice, we managed to swipe a lot of competitions. Now in 2018, the year before, we were awarded as the best hospitality and tourism education provider in Singapore. This was through public votes. Now last year, 2019, we won the Inter-Private School Mocktail Competition. We came in 2nd and 4th for that. Now, and for the National Cocktail Competition, which features all schools in Singapore, that we came in 1st and 2nd, right? That was a stunner for us because this is the first time we were entering this competition, and we wanted to put our practical training into good use, right? And so I'm very glad to say that we did very well. Now in the International Barrister Competition, we had schools from UK, China, Indonesia, and different parts of Asia. We swiped all 4 gold medals. So this is another huge achievement for MDIS to show that our practical training, our practical skills are all aligned with the industry. Right, this is Sahali Chatterjee. She's actually from India. She's actually our degree student, right? And she took part in the barrister training. And so we sent her to Malaysia for the competition. Yes, she did exceptionally well. right? So she was actually judged on two areas. One is the skills, second is the communication. She did very, very well. I remember when she joined, she was a very shy girl, you know. But after a couple of months, I noticed, wow, she is the opposite of what I thought. She became the most chatty among the entire batch, right? And she was very outgoing. She was very receptive. She was always very hungry to learn. And that was really great, right? And she also took time to attend all the different trainings, you know, that we had for this competition. Before school hours, in the evening. Sometimes in the evening, we do training until 10 p.m. She was always there, willing to absorb. And that's very good. And that's one of the things I mentioned earlier, attitude, productivity, mindset. Now, you can have a look at our diverse classes. A typical class in Singapore that you will join in the future would include students from everywhere. Philippines, Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, India, Myanmar, Indonesia. The list just goes on and on, right? Currently, we are doing a lot of online learning via Zoom. But you know, moving on from June onwards, we will be doing a blended mode. So you'll be doing some classes online, some classes offline, right? So this is how a typical class looks like. And this is what our labs look like. This is where you will learn your IT skills and practice your front office skills as well. Workshops. Now, a lot of these workshops are open to MDIS students. Some of it is in the curriculum, some of it is besides the curriculum. So you have the option to join these workshops. So we have a calendar for a year. Starts off with dining etiquette, barista, bar, wine workshops. Wine is also something we focus a lot on because we notice one of the things in a lot of restaurants is people don't understand what is wine, how to grade wine, how to open a wine bottle properly. And of course, we have the rest. We also bring in a lot of guest speakers. These are actually wine suppliers, right? They bring in new wines and let you try them and they educate you on the new wines which have entered Singapore. This is a beverage supplier also. And she focuses on supplying juices, cordials, and all those different mocktail and cocktail ingredients around Singapore. She comes in and she also trains our students on you know, the new creations for mocktails and cocktails. So it's a very fun journey for our students. Now, we have a lot of career talks from different organizations. A recent one was by Marina Bay Sands. Yep. So this is where the students get the opportunity to talk to the industry speakers and, you know, ask them and, you know, challenge them or brainstorm with them, you know, what is the future going to be? What is my career pathway? What must I do? So it's always good to also listen to people who are in the industry right now. Next, these are some of the collaborative activities where I earlier on said that you'll be working in groups. In fact, in a School of Tourism, we are very well known to be one of the few schools where, you know, brings in tons of group activities. Yeah, almost every module has group activities within class or out of class. So here you can see one event management modules activity, you know, where they will feature their country during a food fair. And these are people from different countries who come together to feature one country, and you too will learn a lot about that country at the same time. So that's what we mean by a very diverse setting. Tons of industry visits. We know sometimes students get bored in class, so we bring them out to explore, you know, like Singapore Expo, different attractions in Singapore and different hotels. This is Hilton Hotel, this is Park Hotel, you know. It's important to understand the variety of the sectors out there. Now, the other thing we also do, and this is optional, we work a lot with the industry. So a lot of times the industry will ask us for, you know, student support. Every year we've been supporting F1, the night race, and our students get a chance to see the race for free. Last year we supported Marina Bay Sands in their annual food and wine fair, and students were exposed to all the top chefs from around the world, you know, and they get a chance to try different food, different drinks, and, you know, it was just a fun journey. And this is where our master students also took part. Master students, we had so many master students from India. They learned so much. Besides the food and drink, they also learned how to serve VIPs. This was with the British High Commission, where we went to the British High Commission's residence to do service for the VIPs. There was a fashion show. So this is just a picture of the back of the house. Now, moving on, we also do other things. One of the things that we do every 4 months is the Leaders Networking Reception, where we bring the top leaders together and create a networking platform in our school. And this is actually planned and supported and implemented by our students. So students not only get to plan, but they get to network and they get to engage with all the tourism and hospitality leaders out there. During this reception, which happens every 4 months, we also feature different products, different services. So that's an opportunity for the tourism industry to come into our school and to share with other similar professionals, including our students, what's new. Yeah, it could be a technology, it could be a robot. The other day we featured this cocktail making robot, where every cocktail is made within a minute, including the Singapore sling. So that is technology. Now we also work with the industry to come up with different activities. We work with associations also. So the one over here, we work with the Food and Beverage Management Association to organize a tourism race, including different hotels and restaurants in Singapore. That was really fun, right? And again, these are all supported and planned by our students. So there's just so much of opportunities to interact with the industry, which we think is very important because that helps you to understand the industry better besides networking. Overseas trip. Now, this is also part of the curriculum for degree and master's students. Besides understanding the tourism setting in Singapore, I think it'll be good for you guys to move around and understand other cities' tourism settings as well, and then come back and compare Singapore with that country you visited and the country that you came from. So you can see how everything is, tailored and complemented and blended together into the curriculum. We do a lot of career fairs. So every year we do a career fair, and we think this is important for our students to understand not only the exhibitors, but to understand the different opportunities out there and what are the educational requirements, what are the skill requirements. Okay? So these are the top exhibitors that we had for last year. It was a 2-day exhibition. Okay? And this is complimentary for all our students to understand. These are our industry partners. So for internship, this is who we work with. For employment, this is who we work with. Of course, there's many more. These are just the top ones that I'm placing here. There's many more restaurants, events company. There are many more travel agencies that we work with. These are just some of our students on internship in different hotels and clubs. The American Club. We have the Fullerton. We have Shangri-La Sentosa, Park Royal, and these are big brands here in Singapore. And of course, there's much more. We work with the Marriott, we work with many more Hyatt, we work with Conrad, and so on. These are just some of our students, this was 2 years back, right? One of our students, he did his internship with the Shangri-La Group in China, and he was voted the best intern, right? And we are very glad to have, supported his journey and equipped him with the right skills to deliver his internship well. Now, we also have students from all around the world, like I mentioned. One of them is Korea, and this is a student who graduated from her BSc, her degree with us, and she was immediately given a job by Marriott. Right? And again, this tells you the strength of our industry connection. Another student, Park Min-jin, she also graduated from our degree last year and also got another job with Conrad. Right? So you can see the strength of our program. I think the strength of any school's program is also aligned to the industry association, the industry context, the global or the wider industry context, because all this creates opportunities for the students against a school where students just come in, learn and go, right? So that's a big difference. And that is our philosophy for our students to, experience the full spectrum of a hospitality and tourism institute. This is a student who recently graduated. She did a higher diploma. I got a chance to also meet her parents. Her parents came down to Singapore. And yeah, so this is a testimony. A very bubbly student, very engaging, very quiet in the beginning. Again, I don't know why. A lot of foreign students, when they come in, they're very quiet the first few weeks. After that, it's the opposite. So this is what she has to say. I had learned to communicate with a lot of different kinds of people. Yes, know how the culture of different countries, hands-on skills training, and real working experience. She, instead of doing her internship in the hotel, she preferred to do it in a cafe that we own. So she did it there, and she engaged with a diverse a diverse group, including the public, and she learned a lot. In fact, her goal is to go back to India and start small restaurant chains with the support of her parents, right? So that is why she wanted to work in the cafe and understand, because she sees a lot of potential for cafes in India. All right, so finally, in terms of international employment, what we also do, and this is again complementary part of your learning experience with us, we work with HOSCO. This is a network which works with the top schools around the world. And we are the first to work with them. Apparently, we were chosen as the preferred institute in Singapore to work with them. So how HOSCO works is that they have a huge group of hotels and restaurants and different other partners where they will allow our students to access the jobs that are offered by them worldwide and get into direct contact with the HR of the different sector or organization you choose. So something like LinkedIn, but this is a very, it's more of a direct channel to the recruiting personnel within that organization. So it gives you a lot of opportunity. So when you go into HOSCO, you'll first start off by registering. And of course, you choose which continent you want to work in, and then which state, which company, and then you talk to the HR employers. All right, so yes, so as you can see, from start to end, we have put in a lot of thought for your learning journey. And after you finish your time with us, we also want to support you in your full-time job search. Now, a little bit about Singapore and our end. All right, almost at the end. This is most likely my last slide. Recently, we were voted #1 for business competitiveness and the best place for children to live. Right, so hopefully this assures you to come to Singapore. We're also ranked first in the world for digital readiness, top city for meeting and events. So no other better place to learn about meeting and events than Singapore. Top in Asia for most innovative country. Top in Asia in equipping students with skills for working life. Top in collaborative problem-solving skills. And top 5 in Asia for best skilled labor. So yes, being a Singaporean, I have to boast a little bit about Singapore, but yes, everything is there for you, right, to improve and to discover yourself. All right, guys, so as promised, we have reached the Q&A session, and I think at this point of time, we will open up to you guys to ask questions. So this is where I'll also stop sharing the screen. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. It was a wonderful and a very informative session. I have received few questions to my inbox, and I would go ahead and ask the question. There is a question: why one must choose MDIS for the hospitality and the tourism due to the current situation?
All right, so I think in my presentation earlier on, we spoke about the different facilities. We're actually blessed to be one of the few few schools in Singapore to have such facilities. All right, F&B, kitchen, and we have the training restaurant. We have so much more, right? As earlier on mentioned. So if the question is why to choose MDIS, yes, because a lot of thought goes into your learning experience with us. Now, second, what about the current ongoing COVID situation? We have put in a lot of security measures for our students. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a dormitory within the school. We provide meals. We have all the facilities. So you don't need to actually go out if you're very worried. like I mentioned earlier on, the infection rate among Singaporeans is very low compared to the migrant workers who are contained in dormitories. So the government has made a distinction between these two, and that's why you see us resuming the economy next week. Schools are starting, primary schools, high institutes of higher schools are starting. The economy, part of the economy is going back. Now, the other good thing that the government is also talking about is in middle of June, they are also planning to open up much more of the wider economy, right? So these are all good news that the government has put in place to contain COVID, to ensure the health and safety of everyone, including our students. So I hope I'm able to answer your question that in terms of safety, we are there. In terms of MDIS, because of the learning experience and the facilities, we are also there for you.
Okay, and the next question is like, what is the job opportunity once after they complete the hospitality and tourism course? Okay, this is the question. What are the opportunities that they are going to get? I guess you have already covered that in the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, so is it okay if you can just give them the main points like restaurants and like travel industries, where all they are going to get, maybe just the pointers?
Yes. All right. So I think one of the good things about MDIS is of our industry association locally and internationally. So that creates a different platform for our students to actually get in touch during in school and after school. So during school, like I said, we have this industry, networking receptions, field trips, guest speakers coming in. That is already one platform for you to understand the different job opportunities and the different characteristics of different jobs. The next is also we support you after school. We have different, platforms like Hosco. We work with different agents. We work directly with, different partners to promote you, right? And so, like I said earlier, we don't only focus when you are in school. We also want to create opportunities for you after school. So we have put in place different alternatives for you to explore, right?
Okay.
Safina, if I may add on to what Isaac has mentioned, Singapore itself as a destination, it is one of the destinations for tourism within our Southeast Asia region. And having lived here and having also lived in few other countries, including the UK and few other places, one difference that I see is that Singapore actually does equal opportunity. And at the same time, it relies a lot on international talent to fulfill their manpower needs. So this combined together, that the opportunities are offered equally regardless of where you originate from. It is purely based on your talent, your skill level, and that allows students to be engaged with and to work with leading properties. I mean, we've gone through the presentation and we see that we are working with Fullerton Hotel, we are working with Ritz-Carlton, Marina Bay Sands. Now, these are not just big properties, but they are iconic properties over the world. So students getting a chance to work with them. For example, getting work when the Formula One races here in Singapore, these experiences do matter. And that puts them way ahead of probably their contemporaries back in India or any other place in terms of the skills they achieve and how they present themselves to potential employers. So Singapore does offer an optimal blend of opportunity, of getting your skills and being able to present it to the right employers. And the icing on the cake, if I may refer to it that way, is that Singapore is the only institution MDIS is the only institution in Singapore that is being invited to be part of Hosco, which is a chain of leading property. So that allows our students to get employed in Singapore, but to also be open to opportunities across the world. So they can work within the Southeast region, they can try Europe or even in India for that matter if somebody wants to do that. So it opens up many doors, not just in Singapore, but everywhere.
All right, thank you so much, Mohit. And there is another question. I think you must be the right person to answer this question. The question is like most of the universities are providing the scholarship due to the current situation. So are we going to get a scholarship when we enroll for this course?
Okay. As
Yes,
far as
I'll let
okay,
Mohit answer this.
as far as the scholarship is concerned, I think part of the answer you gave in the question itself, that a lot of institutions are offering scholarship just for the COVID thing. Now, when we talk about scholarship, it should be something that earned and not been given just like that. So yes, we offer bursaries and financial assistance to students. But when it comes to scholarships, yes, we have scholarships, but it is awarded to students on their academic merit and their scholarly achievements in during their studies.
All
It
right.
is not a blank scholarship that is awarded to anyone who applies. So not how it works here in Singapore. Students who have worked hard in their education, who have potential and who are serious about their studies, we do have different ways in which we support them, be it in terms of academic or merit scholarship, be it in terms of financial bursaries. So yes, there are many options for students, and we can discuss with as they approach us and examine them case by case. Isaac, you have anything else to add on to this?
Yeah, I think I said
No,
it. Something to add? All right.
yeah, um, yeah. Okay. So besides what Mohit mentioned, we have things within the program. So once you join us, of course, the top students are also you have something awaiting for you, at the end as well.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so now there is another question. We were discussing about a couple of the programs. Among the different courses suggested, which is the preferred one? This is the question for my partner.
Okay, so the preferred one, number one, would be based on your interest and entry level qualifications. So we need to look at which one you qualify for, and then I would be able to address that question better.
Okay, okay, all
I
right.
mean, just to summarize it, so Safina, to answer it in another way is, it depends on where the student is looking at as a end outcome of the studies. For example, students who are looking to gain certain skills and get an experience of working globally, who
Mhm.
are already probably industry practitioners or who want to get some vocational skills and enter the industry quickly. For them, the professional diploma would suit very well, so that they can get the academic background of learning academics and theory behind the industry, and also have the internship where they can gain skills and have the experience of working in Singapore or any other international destination, and that
Okay,
will allow them to further their career within the industry. For
all
those who are after an academic pursuit, who want to progress on to a degree or a master's in hospitality and tourism, let's say after 12th standard of this, they have done in India, they can then go for the higher diploma and then progress on to the degree after completing an internship as well. And then if they want, they can further progress to a master's. So here, like Isaac mentioned, their background and also what is the end outcome that they desire from their studies, that would probably enable us to advise the student which program he or she should take.
okay, okay. So basically, to summarize, I can just answer like this. Okay, if the students have completed the 12th standard, they can go for a professional diploma. And if they have completed anything which is related to hospitality, they can go for a higher diploma. And in case if they wanted to enhance their skills and get into a proper degree, they can go for a BSc. Am I right? Yeah.
In a way, yes.
Yes. All right. Perfect. Okay. So I have another question from one of my partner. Okay. So he asked, like, with this COVID situation, people are afraid to join the hospitality industry, and how do we tackle this?
Yes, it is the same issue here. All right, but don't forget, food and beverage is the biggest industry around the world. It still
Yeah.
has to go on. Right now, we are putting measures in Singapore to ensure people continue with the food and beverage experience through home delivery and so on. But this is only for the meantime. As the economy goes up, like I said, very soon restaurants will be open as well. Restaurants in hotels will also be open, and people will be looking forward to that experience in a restaurant, which is very different from the experience at home, right? People go to a restaurant to eat for many reasons. One of the biggest reasons is to socialize, to celebrate, to, get together with your loved ones and so on, and to enjoy the dining experience. So this has to go on. Restaurants will eventually open up. So in Singapore, the second thing that we are saying right now is we're working with a lot of people also in the industry who are F&B workers in restaurants and hotels. So yes, though the business has been affected, this is the time to upgrade yourself, to prepare for the rebound of the sector, right? Once the tourist comes in, or even for Singaporeans with varying disposable incomes, we have different dining options. And I think you also know that we are quite popular for having a lot of Michelin restaurants in Singapore. So yes, the time will come eventually.
I mean, Safina, to add on a lighter note on this. So during these times when we have been working from home and mostly restricted to our homes, the only getaway that we had was to sneak in a takeaway meal or order from our favorite restaurants, and the food still get delivered. Nothing else could be done. So this is the beauty of this industry, that even in these times, even the government and the industry has still stayed alive. They have still served the customers, albeit in a different mode. We cannot dine in, but that hasn't stopped us from engaging in the food we love. So this industry can never be completely shut down, and it will be the first one, I believe, to recover at a very quick pace once the situation is normalized. And the government and the authorities also understand this, and that's why enough measures have been put in place so that the industry can recover. Because I'm sure even you, being based out of Bangalore, you're itching to get to your favorite eateries and go out. So this industry is going to be the first one to recover, and there are enough measures put in place.
Okay, all right. And also, like what even I feel, and discussing with many of the experts in this industry, is this is actually the right time where students need to enroll in this particular career, because as we all know, like the industry is hit right now. Okay, so the economy is now. Okay, but until they complete the course, which takes another 6 months if it is a professional diploma, and by the time the economy is already taken up, and at that time, and most of the job opportunities for the students will be higher end. Am I right in saying this? Yeah?
Yes. Prepare for the rebound. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Yes, I
so
mean, to add to it, sorry to interrupt you, Safina, to add on,
yeah.
I always want to pass on the message to any student or parent or your partners who are listening, that the generic mentality to wait out until everything is normal would put us into a trap whereby we may miss the wave of recruitment or the opportunities that would open up as soon as the economy start to recover. So this is the right time once the students have all the resources, and technology has enabled us to take the classroom experience to the students' own home. They can join the online classes, they can join the live streaming of classes, and that also allows the student to have the recording of the lectures. I mean, I'll just elaborate what I mean. When you're in a face-to-face classroom, once the lecture is over, you cannot go back to that lecture. It's finished. You leave the classroom, you can only go to the next lecture. But now, through the live streaming of the classes and the recording of classes, students are still engaging in the live classes and also have the advantage of having the recording of that lecture with them. So that allows them to study much more better, because they can revisit what they learned, and they can also engage with the lecturers through the online platforms. So if they start their studies now, in 6 months, 7 months, or 8 months time, when it is time for all the economies and all the industries where they look for the best talent to stimulate, to boost their move forward, the students would be ready with their qualifications, with their degrees, with their diplomas, and would be ready to join the job force. So this is the time where you need to start your learning process so that you're equipped with the skills and the qualifications to take on the new roles that would come up.
Yes, thank you, Mohit. Safina, just to add on, currently we have a lot of students in school, right? So they attend classes which are recorded, but we also have a lot of students who are out of Singapore. So they join us on our live online sessions. So like Mohit say, you have so many options, right? You can join live online, which is recorded, or you can join the in-campus classes, which is also recorded, right? So, and everything is uploaded onto your learning platform. And yeah, I think this is a great learning experience right now. It's something that we never had during our time, right? So yeah, it's something to consider.
All right, thank you. Mohit, this is the question for you. Like once after the student enrolls in this course, and as we are talking about the internship, okay, so what is the average paid internship the student can get? What is the monthly average that the student can get?
I think I can answer this.
Isaac would be a better person to answer this, yes.
Okay, now on the average, what our students get, we always recommend the between 600 to 1,000, right? So for huge hotels, don't expect to be paid more than that. Why? Because you also have a lot of others, others as in uniform, food, and everything. So about 600 to 1,000 is what you would normally get. But in some other, with some other partners, like some other hotels or events company or travel agencies, we see students actually earning more from this. How? Through overtime, where they put in extra work hours, or another way is through sales commission. So I have one student who works in a travel agency. Her basic allowance is 600, but she brings home nearly 2,000. Why? Because of from all the different sales packages that she sells, right? So yeah, so it varies, but of course the minimum is 600.
Okay, so after knowing this number, I feel that whatever the investment of the course, the student will get returns during the period, during the course period itself. Yeah. All right.
Most of it. I mean, I would say, yeah, there would be, if you talk about the professional diploma, I mean, if the students are starting now,
yes.
having starting online during the lessons period or the teaching period, it is not only allowing them to continue with their studies, but it's saving them on the accommodation and the living cost of having to do it in Singapore. They can do it from their home right in India now. And once the situation is better, they can always come here. And one thing I would mention that, I mean, of course, the earning part of internship is always there. They can recover quite a substantial amount of what they earn, what they spend for their studies. They can earn that. But for Indian students, especially, I mean, coming from the same background myself, I would state that make sure that the students need to make sure the focus is on the studies and not on the income that much, because the overall objective is to get employed by the top employers. So if you lose focus on that, you may lose out in the longer run. So it's better that students equally focus on their studies and not just focus on what part-time income they can earn. And of course, internship period, they can work as much as they want, and they can gain the experience and the money as well. Sure.
Yeah, so Safina, just to add on, while they are studying in school, they're not allowed to work, right?
Yes.
So once, yeah, and that's very important. Now, if you get caught working illegally, then that's an issue. So I think I agree with Mohit. Let's concentrate on one thing at a time. Do well in your studies, because school is going to keep you busy every day. And then once you are approaching internship, we will support you, and work hard during your internship, whether it's in Singapore or whether you choose to go to another country. We are there to support you. And many students during internship who did very well have been offered different full-time positions. So internship is not only a learning period, it's also a time where it could be the start of your career, right? And throughout all this, we are there for you.
All right, thank you. All right. So with this, I'm done with the questions from the audience. But as an educationalist, I have a question, and which I really wanted to address all our audience and the partners and the students here. Okay, so most of the students are not okay to have the online classes. I'm sure, like, okay, we have already covered that point, how this is going to be a different, and and what are all the benefits that they are going to get when they are taking up an online classes. But is there anything that we will have to give the message to our audience, like how important it is to take up an online class rather than just wasting their time and waiting things to like end soon, everything faster? And most of the students are having this question also: is it safe for us to travel overseas at this point of time?
I mean, I'll take cue from what you just said, Safina. You mentioned about wasting time. So I wouldn't say wasting time, but the way I'll put across is time lost never comes back.
Right.
Okay. And we are all facing a situation which is not Singapore specific or India specific, but it's a global situation that everyone is facing and going through at the same time. So education or learning, there are only two options left. Either you put a full stop to it, or you accept the technology on hand and take up the online mode of learning so that you can further your learning experience. So
All right.
taking online mode of learning is no longer an option, but a pressing necessity in these times. I'm sure even in India, most of the institutions and universities have taken the online mode of learning at the moment, because you cannot keep on delaying your education. And like me and Isaac mentioned during the session earlier, that the importance of taking on the online or live streaming mode of learning now is so that you are prepared to take on new roles or new positions or leadership roles, or even your career in 6 months or a year's time when the economy is on the rise. If you
Okay.
wait for things to be normal, I mean, none of us can predict when it is going to be normal, and even what the definition of the new normal would be. We don't know how it is going to be. Whether what we considered as normal 6 months ago, whether that is going to be the new normal, we don't know. So what we can do now is what we have in hand and what we have in control, which is continue with our education, not keep on delaying it, hoping that things would work out. Because this is one thing, it keeps you safe. You are within your safe environment, but you have the same educational resources at your disposal as much as technology is allowing. And if
Okay.
I talk in terms of Singapore context, the Singapore immigration authorities, they are also recognizing the situation, and they're accepting the online attendance of students. So
All
let's
right.
take an example that you have a student sitting in Bangalore at the moment. He starts with his higher diploma or his studies at the moment. He would have his online attendance recorded through the live lectures that we take. If any assessments are being done, his academic performance is also recorded. So when time comes and the borders are open, not only in Singapore, but also on the Indian part, and the students are allowed to travel and the visa applications are processed, his or her online attendance and the academic records will play an important part in getting the visa approvals. And Singapore or MDIS, it's institutional sponsored visa. So unlike UK or US, students don't have to wait for appointment of any embassy or visa officers, submit their passports, go for interviews. They don't have to do anything of the sort. So once the borders are open and the visa is done, all the student has to do is book a flight ticket and travel to Singapore, because the visa is processed by the institute. It's an institute sponsored visa. So it puts them in a perfect position to embark on their studies. Because if we talk about waiting till normal, even when things become normal in respective countries, be it UK, Canada, US, the visa processes would still take a longer time for students, and the acceptance rate is not as high as Singapore. For Indian students, the visa acceptance rate is more than 90 or 95%. So students have a better opportunity, and they still get the qualification, which is globally recognized. They get a UK degree, and Singapore is as good a destination as a London, New York, or any place you mentioned in terms of opportunities.
Yes. Thank you. This was actually very much needed because as most of the students are having a fear, like what in case if we take up an online course and when we apply for the visa, our visa gets rejected and again we are going back to square one. So in this case, it's not going to be in that way, because here the most advantage for all the students is like during their first set of the process itself, they are going to know, they are getting to know that whether we are accepted or not, because it's an institutional sponsored visa, right? Once after everything clearance, then only they are going to start the course. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much. I would like to thank, on behalf of the Sanz International and Sanz International's entire team, for spending a time and giving us a valuable information. And I would like to thank all our audience who are on live and as well as the breakout rooms. And we would like to thank you so much for attending this session. In case if you have any more questions, please reach out to us. Feel free. And just to let you all know that we are starting the intake on June 29, 2020, and applications are open now. So in case if you have any more questions further to it, for our partners and for our colleagues and everyone, please get in touch with us and we will be sending you an official email as well. So thank you so much. So anything else that you...
To summarize, to end, I would just like to mention to all students, parents, and your partners who are listening in, as the division head for India, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia, working with MDIS, I would like to state that Sanz International is one of our trusted partners in India. So not only through this session, but later on, any of you students or parents, if you have any questions or queries, we prefer to make use of technology on hand. You can always connect with us through Safina. We can get on WhatsApp calls, we can get on WhatsApp video calls or Zoom sessions, so that we are hands-on available to resolve any issues. If you have any issues while processing your application, or if you have any questions on the academic front, I think I can speak for Isaac as well, that he is one of the most hands-on heads of schools, who's always willing to extend a helping hand to students or parents. So where needed, we would be more than happy to assist them to join MDIS. And of course, once they are part of the MDIS family, we'll always be there to make sure that their journey with MDIS is smooth, is a learning and enriching one. And it gets them on to the organic cycle or the organic circle we have created with our alumni, that the alumni are always connected with us and help the juniors or the new students who are coming in to embark on their future studies and careers, so they can be part of this organic circle that we have at MDIS, where the journey doesn't end when they pass out from MDIS, but it just extends onto a new chapter. So we would be happy to welcome many more students through Sanz to join the MDIS family and network in the coming days.
Thank you so much, Mohit. Thanks a lot. All right, so are we okay to end the session now?
Sure. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Safina. Thanks for facilitating this session.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you too.
Isaac, thank you so much.
Thank you very much too.
Have a nice weekend.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you. Take care. Stay safe.
Bye.